Hello, welcome back to Paleozoic PCs, where you never know what's lurking in the tar pit. Today, just doing a little bit of kind of an arts and crafts video, where I'm going to just have the camera on and walk through my process here of trying to turn one of these little Gotek floppy emulators, which you may have heard of if you're into vintage computing, into an external disk drive that I can use for, well, the goal is TRS-80s, but potentially any machine that uses the standard 34-pin Sugar floppy connector. These are a pretty clever little device. They have an ARM CPU on them that basically bit bangs, being a physical floppy drive, and it stores floppy images on a standard USB drive plugged into the front. Now you can see there's a 3-digit indicator on the front of this thing. So with the original software that comes with these, the USB device gets partitioned into an arbitrary number of little partitions, and each one typically acts like a 1.44 or 720, whatever the firmware is set for, floppy drive. Now, to be blunt, the firmware that comes on these is not very good. So it's a project called FlashFloppy. We'll stick a link up on the screen or whatever, where because this is just driven by an ARM CPU, there's basically no specialized hardware inside. It's an open source project that substitutes the software that's on here for a much more flexible piece of software that can understand a number of classic floppy disk image formats. So instead of doing this wacky partitioning thing and having to use special software to get stuff on and off your USB drive, you can just copy emulator floppy images onto your USB drive and stick them on here. Now, technically I have jumped ahead already, and I have unboxed this thing and I have installed the FlashFloppy firmware on it already. I will also stick a link into a good how-to video and how to perform that step. So today we're just going to be modifying this device. So we are going to install a little teeny tiny screen in it. One of these little guys, which will give us a cute little OLED screen so you can see the names of the files that we've selected instead of having to associate them with numbers. So when we use the menu buttons, will be much easier to use. So we can substitute one of these for this display. And then we're also going to see if we can whip together a power supply to be able to use this externally without having to stick it inside of a computer, because, for instance, a TRS-80 Model 1 or a color computer or something, there is no internal floppy slot. And then we're also going to see if maybe we can cobble together the correct cable to make this happen. So let's get to it, I guess. So first thing I guess we're going to do is we're going to work on the power supply. Now a normal floppy drive takes, with a motor in it, most older floppy drives require 5 volts and 12 volts on this connector. The 5 volt drives all the logic, but the 12 volt is used by the motor. Now, newer physical floppy drives may just use 5 volts. So if you've opened up a PC, you'll see that, these connectors, there'll be a red one, and usually a yellow one is the 12 volt, and then the two in the middle are ground. This only needs 5 volt on that connector. So my plan today, my original plan, was because everybody has lying around the house a busted USB cable like this. My thought was, because USB supplies 5 volt, I would simply cut this open and pick out the voltage lines for that. But when I was going through my junk box, I actually found this guy, which says it's a 5-volt. It's an AC adapter that happens to have 5-volt output. I think this was for an old BlackBerry I had years ago. And as you can see, the connector's kind of mangled. So I thought, instead of going with USB route, we'll just cut the end off of this. Alright, so let's just go ahead and chop the end off of this. Ugh. And see what we got in here. It looks like we got black and red wires, so that's convenient. Alright, so let's trim off a bit of that. And a bit of that. Alright, so my plan at this point was I got a hold of a bunch of these little jumper wires. It's real cheap. As you see, they're 4-pin connectors that they should slot onto that. Yeah, no problem. So, I mean, that's technically not quite the right connector. This is a little bit different type. It's a Molex and an IDC, but they're close enough. It works. See, these would fit a little bit nicer on these, but this will work. It's fine. It's all good. We can pretend this is still not a terrible plan. So, anyway, my plan was to see if we could kind of peel a little bit of the wires off, a little bit of insulation off, and solder the feed wires. So we're going to take this, we're going to see if we can strip off a little bit of the wire without actually cutting it. It's not exactly the end of the world if we do cut it, I guess, because we could just solder the two ends together. There we go. Having rotor wire, we'll mount this up. Put a little solder on our there we go. That's one. Alright, so let's see what we can do again. The black wire. So we'll stick it in there. Let's see if we can get these two wires to make sweet, sweet music together. Let's make music together. Let's make sweet harmony. Alrighty. Just sort of rewarm the solder. Get them to be nice, good friends. Let it harden. Let's put some tape on that bugger. Let's plug the thing back in. Watch for sparks. No sparks. And now hopefully we will see 5 volts if I put that right there and that right there. That looks like a winner to me. Alrighty, so that is stage 1 of soldering done. So let's unplug this again. And let's go ahead and plug this into our Gotek. So you see with this as it is, we'll be able to power 2 of these potentially. So let's go ahead Plug that in. And we should see the FF on here when we plug this in. And there we go. FF. Alrighty. So, if I were satisfied to leave it like this, we would be done. But I am not satisfied. So, step number 2 of our project is we're going to put that little display in there. Alright, sorry there. So there's a display. This box also should have come with, as you can see, these little guys are everywhere. I mean, you can't see. Yes, you see. They came loosely wrapped in bubble wrap, so hopefully they all work. No comment. So, we have a bunch of these little displays. Hopefully they actually work. And these little thingies. So, these displays use I2C, I believe. Simple wire serial protocol. So you see there's 4 wires. There's a voltage, there's a ground, an SCL, and SDA. And those are that's the serial signals. So the first thing we got to do before we do anything else is we've got to solder this little header onto here like this. This is going to plug in place of this. It speaks the same protocol as this. So we're going to plug that in, and we're going to see if we can get some solder on it. So let's let that cool off while we open this up. Apparently not a manly enough man. Undo these screws. There we go. Alright, sorry about that. A little interruption. Anyway, so now that we've got this apart, you can see there's this little display uses these 4 wires. And essentially speaks the same protocol as that one. We just need to rearrange the order of them. So let me check the reference real fast. So we will remove low jumper wires. Okay. Now, you see this has a 4-place plug and this has a 4-place plug. They used to do these separately. So, according to... Well, that's a pain in the ass. So they used to do this as 2 separate little blocks. So now, it's 1. Pardon my French. I'll bleep that. But I got a solution. We'll take the ends of one of these little bastards and plug it into this. So let's see if we can do that. So if we carefully pry up the plastic, I'm trying to do this by keeping it on the screen. I apologize if I slip off. See these little plastic fingers, yank them up. Ah, it's perfect. All right, we freed that up. Now let's free up one end of this. You know, I could just destroy this end. I'm not going to need it. Oh, come on. Be my friend. Be my friend. Be the chum I never had. Besties forever. And 4. Okay. So, now referring to... I will stick the... I guess I'll stick the thing up here. So, it looks like with the thing like this... I guess if we blow up the display, we got plenty of them. So, it says that ground is this wire. Here? Please tell me you'll fit. VCC would be here. What was the next one over? Okay, on the other side, the upper one is SCL. And the red one, the white one, is going to be SDA. And it would connect up like this. All right. So, let's see if it blows up. Wouldn't be the first thing I've blown up. So let's get our power cable and power it up. And look at that! FlashFloppy! Hey! We did it right. Okay. So, now that we've got that done, now I have to think about how this is going to go together. So, the original display, as you see how this, it fits the hole in the front of the screen, of the box, and it's pretty much just held in there in friction. Now, the roof of the case has this little backer meant to keep it from being pressed in. Now, from the last one of these I converted, I found that if you stuck the display in here just so, you could get, basically you could wrap the connector around that lump, if you nibbled it out a little bit. Alright, first thing I'm going to try to do is just crudely see if I can nibble off like that a little bit of that edge. See, there's a little bump out in the screen case here. Makes this a little bit more complicated. Wouldn't it be nice if they just built it like we wanted it in the first place? And I guess we wouldn't be creative now, would we? I think we need to nibble a little bit more off of that. There we go. Next thing, I lit it up again. Let's see. It goes in there like that. It looks like our left margin is okay. If we get the glass between those two bumps. But we're going to have to cut away a little bit more to this side. Like about 1/4 of an inch. Alright, again, so This is the part I'm bad at. So I've taped this off. So only the part of the faceplate that I feel like it needs to come off is exposed. And I was going to take a crack at it with the spinning disc here. Don't forget your goggles. Let's try snapping that out now. It worked. Made a very ugly hole. So let's change out this for something else. Oh, that is terrible. But we ain't selling it, so let's see what we got. Alright, the one thing that fixes everything. Duct tape. There we go. That'll work. Good enough. It'd be nice if there was a thin piece of plastic in front of that to protect that, because these are pretty fragile. But, problem for another day. Okay, despite it trying to thwart us, we got her done. Last step. Old machines we'll hook this up to use these 34-pin edge connectors instead of the more modern pin connectors like on the back of this. We got some cable. So this was a remnant. This is actually 37 conductor cable, not 34, but it was very cheap. So we're going to turn 37 conductor cable into 34 conductor cable by peeling off a few wires. Ah! 1, 2, 3. A little notch. And peel. If we peel too many, we'll be very sorry. So, if we look at the connector, again, we've got a little teeny number in here. So we'll go like so. Put our stripe on one. And from this point, use this tool. We have an example disc controller. Will go in like so. Like so. All right, now that we have our pin connector on the end, because we didn't decide how long our cable is going to be. I'm going to arbitrarily cut it right here. And on the end here, I'll go ahead. Let's see, does this thing have any markings on it for pin 1? It's not really. Yes, it does. So, pin 1 is on this side. Now this also comes with this thing. So I could do like this. And loop it around. Do I want to do that? Because it gives it some strain relief. So I guess I probably want to do this first. This. And then loop it over. Probably don't need to even use this. And there we go. So this will connect to Gotek, like so. And this will connect to TRS-80. Hopefully, we'll have a working floppy drive. Hello, we're back again, and let's test our amazing creation. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is not the machine I wanted to use to test this. I was hoping I would be able to wow you all by firing up this on my Model 1. But we ran into some technical difficulties with the Model 1. Not related to the disk drive. Got nowhere close to that yet. We will probably be visiting that in another video. Suffice it to say, spending years in a storage unit doesn't do TRS-80s a lot of good. So, let's recap what we've made. So we have our new FlashFloppy hacked Gotek. We've hacked together a power cable. It goes to this little brick connected here. We made this cable, which has pin connector at this end and a card edge connector, which I've connected to this Tandy color computer disk controller, which is actually, it's a good coincidence that I just happened into this just a couple weeks ago. For a long time, I've had a couple color computer 3s that a friend got me at a swap meet and just basically dropped them off and said, here you like some Tandys. Here's some Tandys to go in your Tandy. So I haven't done anything with these things for years because I just had the computers and that was it. So let's see if this plus this works. So obviously, I apologize for the cruddy little monitor. I know the viewing angle and stuff on it is crud, and color computers look bad on composite anyway. It's just is what it is. So let's turn the color computer off. And so, like I said, we already got this inserted into the disk drive, so we're going to place that in the cartridge slot. And then I've already prepared a USB disk that has a directory on it that has some disk image files. They're a mix of HFE, which is a sort of native format, and also JVC files, which is a common emulator disk format on here. So let's see what we can do. So we'll place this in the drive, and we will go ahead, plug this in. So FlashFloppy's coming up. It's on a blank disk image. So let's fire it up. There we go. Let's stop looking at that horrible 32 column screen. Let's look at this horrible 40 column screen instead. So if I remember my color computer, which has been a long time, we can do a dir 0, and there's nothing on there. Well, that's fine. So let's try formatting this disk image. I think it's DSKINI 0. Now if we look, this little counter on the disk drive is ticking up. See, it shows the track and head, and the head is always 0 because the Radio Shack basic disk controller software only uses one head. So it only uses 35 tracks the disk. So we're to track 34, back to track 0. Looks like we're verifying. Okay, that's promising. Okay, so let's see if it still says the same thing. EIR 0. Also nothing on there. So let's type a little basic program. Never gets old. All right, save. Look. There we go. TIR 0. All right. So, new. Load. Look. Oh, got the quotes. Yay! And just for sanity check, we'll turn it off. Let's turn it back on again. All right. DIR 0. Here we go. Load. Look. Oh, ah! Here we go. Wow, it's a lot faster in that mode. All right. So I have a couple other disk images on there. I have this, which is OS 9. Not Mac OS 9, but OS 9, the microware Unix operating system for this. I think you start it by typing DOS. No? All right. Maybe I don't have the right format disk image here. We will skip that one for now. So isn't it either, is it? Oh, no, there we go. I guess I had the wrong disk image. OS9 boot. Okay. Let's see. 20, 21, 11, 01. All right. LS. DR. I don't know anything about OS9. Okay, DR. So does the other one have stuff on it? No, don't know. Don't know. All right, so as you can see, you can navigate with these buttons. So I have an Arkanoid on here. There's a reset button on these things, right? So I don't have to power it on and off. There we go. Oh no, it's just gonna... There we go. All right. So, I guess Arkanoid. Why don't we go ahead, and I have my joystick I modified to work with the Tandy 1000. Should also work with this guy. Let's see. I don't know if that's the correct joystick port or not. Let's see if this disk image works. Nope. Okay. Never mind. Maybe I didn't have it selected right. Anyway, let's try it. Okay. Run. Coco 3 version, I guess. Unless it requires 512K, I don't know. This is only a 128K Coco 3. Taking its own sweet time. Come on. Almost there. Are we? Suspense is killing me. Do you have an RGB monitor? No, we do not. All right. Look at that. I've always hated playing Arkanoid with a joystick. Yeah, I'm curious what the Coco 2 version looks like, since it has such worse graphics. Oh no! Oh, anyway, you didn't come here to watch me suck at Arkanoid. But there we go. So, that is how you can turn a... you can get these for about $20 off of AliExpress. They're closer to $30 off of Amazon. They're quite easy to convert with this FlashFloppy firmware. cable parts, if you have to get it all from scratch, might be another few bucks. But if you have an old computer like this and have no working floppy drives, that's how you can do a turkey. So anyway, next time maybe I'll make a video about the big sob story of trying to get my TRS-80 Model 1 to work for this. Or maybe I'll play with this color computer some more, because I am pleased. This is fantastic. Thank you for watching, and good night.